Welcome back everyone to the channel. I hope you're all doing well. We have our monthly recap of every single movie I watched in January. And we all know January is always a weak month, but I still got into 11 new movies. So we're going to put it in a tier list in 1 second. Make sure you leave a like, subscribe to the channel. It's free to do so. Helps me out a lot, but let's get right to the tier list. All right, so as I said in the intro, January is always the worst month for a movie release calendar. It's just where all the movies that the streamers and the movie studios don't believe in, because they know that people have used all their money on Christmas and all the holidays. So they don't think a lot of people are going to go to the theater in January, so that's where they put all the bad movies. And first we got Role Play. This was an Amazon Prime original movie. It's got Kaylee Cuoco in it. She's literally playing undercover kind of agent. Her husband doesn't know. Then the story kind of goes with her husband finding out, and you're just kind of going on a goose hunt for her all the time. And it's kind of a little bit of an action film. The action here is pretty minimal. It's kind of a slow burn, I would say. This is I watched this on the night I watched this in Reliance, and it was kind of hard to get through this one, only because I didn't really care for. I think Kaylee Cuoco, I think she's an okay leading lady. I don't think she really has hit that stardom yet to lead, a whole action film like this, because she's great, in The Big Bang Theory. I heard her show on Peacock's pretty good, but I don't know if she's hit like action level star fame yet and level, because this one's not great. I think the story falls flat, the script falls flat, and I think the pacing falls flat in this one. Kaylee Cuoco's okay, but there's only so much that you can do with a movie that doesn't have really much going on with it. So Role Play, I'm going to put in the bad tier. And just saying, this is probably going to be a short video, because a lot of these movies I kind of forgot about and don't care to talk about, because you're going to find out a lot of them just aren't good. Next one is Good Grief. This is kind of the same thing as Role Play. Not an action movie, but it's just not a good movie in my opinion. It didn't work because this movie needed a really great script to work. This is Dan Levy's directorial debut. He's also the main lead of the film. They're kind of going for like a sad film here. I will say I did like the beginning, the first 30 minutes, but once they go on like their kind of adventure, kind of like trip in this one, I kind of lost interest. I think the script really fell flat. I think that the characters, they didn't really let you attach to these characters. They tried to go for really sad moments, but I think that didn't work either. Like, I wasn't really like feeling any emotions. This should be a movie that can really make you cry and have you really feel so much, sadness going into it because of the subject matter. But I didn't really feel any of that. I've read some other reviews, people really didn't feel any of that. Direction was okay from Dan Levy, but overall, it's just another film that didn't work for me this month, going in the bad tier. I.S.S. is the first science fiction movie of the year, kind of first major one of the year from Bleecker Street. They're kind of coming under the radar, releasing a lot of films this year that I saw, and Ariana DeBose is the lead of this one. This one kind of has a pretty interesting, premise. ISS, of course, stands for International Space Station, and you basically have all the two Russians at the top of it, and then two Americans at the top of it in this one, and then there's kind of like what happens in this is they're in the space station, and then on Earth they have a war starting, and they don't know what's going on. They're just told to like exterminate the other side of the space station, and only one side can live. And that really was an interesting concept that I really want to go see for it. But it's a concept that's interesting, but the movie as a whole just it didn't land. It's kind of an uninteresting movie, kind of a bland movie, and the budget for this one must have been really low, because every time that they show a shot outside the space station, it looks really cheap and just looks like it's shot on a soundstage. Everything inside of it looks good, because that's just a set that's built and have like details in there. And I do say Ariana DeBose is pretty good in here, but I just don't see her as as a full lead yet in a film. I haven't seen anything like terrific from her since West Side Story, but she was a supporting character in West Side Story, so I really haven't seen anything, fantastic from her for a leading position. This one was okay, the performances were okay, but this one also lands where its script isn't great, but that's what happens with a lot of science fiction movies. But this one kind of just, it went on for a decent while. It was only an hour and a half, but it felt like it went on for a long time. Then there's like, by the end of it, there's like three like cut to blacks, and you think it's ending, but it doesn't end. It was like three more different scenes going after those. It's kind of weird how they ended it, but I'll still put it in the okay tier, because science fiction I have a soft spot for, but it didn't work for me as a whole. and I saw the Book of Clarence. I actually saw the Book of Clarence and I.S.S. as a double feature, and it's the most, average double feature I think I'll ever say. The Book of Clarence is kind of like a satire kind of film. It's one where I love the music in it. The soundtrack was great. Costume design, set design, all look fantastic. I'm a big fan of Lakeith Stanfield. I think he's had, two misses with Haunted Mansion and now this. I don't think this is horrible. I just think it's not, good or great. I think it's just going in the okay tier. I think the cast is great. It's just a very slow film, being 2 hours. And it took a long time to get where it needed to take, and I wish it was just a little bit funnier. The Underdogs is another Amazon Prime original, and this one is Snoop Dogg. Snoop Dogg's leading this film, and this one literally came into my radar like a day before it came out. Like the day before it came out, then I was like, oh, this looks kind of cool. And then the day I watched it, and I was like, oh wow, I'm happy I finally found out about this one. So if you like sports or like football or anything, I think you might have a fun time with this one, because I thought I was going in expecting a kind of like a trashy movie. It is trashy at parts, but it does have some heart in other parts. Kind of feels like, 5 other movies that I've already seen, but Snoop Dogg, he has to do community service, so he goes and helps this, little league kind of team and coach them because they don't have a coach. So that's like the main story. You kind of have fun moments, kind of heartwarming moments with him as a coach, bettering his character and all that. So, I had fun with it. I had fun with the cast, have fun with all the characters. It looked like everyone was just having a great time. Snoop Dogg is just, cursing up a storm. He's able to smoke in this movie as much as he wants. And yeah, it is rated R, so don't let kids watch it. There's even a warning at the beginning. They have fun with the little warning, but it's a lot of cursing in this one. But I gotta say, I had fun with it as a football fan. So I'm also gonna put that one in the okay tier. Next up, we have Mean Girls. This is like the kind of, a new remake adaptation of the Broadway musical. So I just like to call it Mean Girls the musical. I think that works the most. And I will say this is the best movie of January, the best movie of the year so far. As a Mean Girls fan, I think the original is fantastic and easily, one of the major classics that anyone growing up, middle school, early high school has to watch. It's just a great film. I was a little bit worried about this one because it was a musical. Not a lot of musicals do work for me because, I think a lot of songs have to fit with the movie style, have to really be kind of catchy. And I think a lot of songs in here did work. I think it's like 80% of the songs I did like, only a couple songs I didn't really care for, but I think a lot of them are pretty catchy. I still listen to some of them outside the movie. I still need to go see this one again. I've only seen it once so far, but I thought that it was a very fun movie. It kind of, reinvented the Mean Girls story just a little bit, but it really kept to, it kept to itself, kept to the original Mean Girls a lot. It's like 90% the same and then 10% new stuff. So I kind of liked how they took the new approach with like more social media in it. Felt more modern, and I like Tina Fey's take on the story. And there's a little bit of a cameo in there for you guys. Like Renee Rapp did a great job. I think she's easily the best part of the film. Regina's always, been my favorite part because she's just a mean girl, and she gets hit by that bus. So it's a great part of the story. And I will say, yeah, I love the costumes, love the set design, love just the camera angles, camera movement during the musical scenes. So I had a fun time with this one. So I'm gonna put it in the low grade tier. Next up, we have Lift. This is another Netflix original that didn't work. Kevin Hart just keeps going for these, streaming movies that aren't working for him, and it just left me so disappointed. And I even went in with like no expectations. What you basically get is just an action movie of them trying to heist, a plane, and it's just the most, over budgeted commercial film I've ever seen. I swear, this movie probably has like a $200 million budget, and it looks honestly horrible. Like there's title cards popping up for each character at the start, and you know that you're in for like a movie that just parents will like. No one else will like. Parents will like this one if they're in for a stupid and dumb time with Kevin Hart doing an okay job and not trying very much. So Lit is going in a terrible tier. Next up, we got Night Swim, another terrible movie this year. This is my least favorite movie of the year. I went in with zero expectations, and I went in just with lower, thoughts on it than I thought it would have had. It's horrible. Like, I don't know who greenlit this movie, who allowed this to happen. Like, they're trying to make this movie scary, but as I said, if your horror movie's not scary, then it's gonna be funny, because I'm gonna laugh at some of these scenes if they're not scary. And I did laugh. I laughed at a lot of this movie because what the heck is the premise of here, and what the heck is the point? I love how they're trying to go overly serious too. Like they're really taking themselves seriously for this like pool demon. Like this demon comes out of the pool, starts grabbing people, takes them to like the underneath the pool, going like 100 feet down into the depths of the pool. I was like, what is going on here? It's like so dumb. It was really cheap for the made those, so I think they're gonna get some money back from it. But I gotta tell you guys, stop giving them money for these horrible horror movies. You know, we can't keep rewarding them for this. Horror movies should be easy to make, should be great to make. And even for a low budget, this one was just not great. It's filled with just really empty scares, and I think a runtime that is too long for it. I think this would more work as a short film than a full-fledged film. So with that said, Night Swim going in the terrible tier. Next up, we got Self-Reliance, just Jake Johnson's directorial debut, and I will say he basically, you know, did decent work with this one. It's a decently fun time. Anna Kendrick also has a role in this. She has a smaller role. I wish she had a bigger role because I do love Anna Kendrick a lot. I love the chemistry between Jake Johnson and her. I like the premise of it. You know, Jake Johnson has to, you know, enter a little contest to win like $1 million, and basically has people hunting him for like a month. And if he's not with anyone, they can kill him. But if he's with someone, you know, they can't go up and kill him. So he had fun with that. There's a little bit more fun with the story being had there. A lot of funny moments in here. I do wish the story kind of worked more in the second half, because the first half was actually really great. Second half kind of let me down. It really slowed down. Really, it wasn't as funny as the first half. Didn't have many more original ideas in there. But I thought Jake Johnson did a great job with his directorial debut. But I just wish the film was a little bit better, had a better, you know, polished script in the end. But I'll still put it in the okay tier. The Kitchen is another Netflix original. This one is, this one's co-directed by Daniel Kaluuya, so congrats to him for his first, you know, directorial debut. But you know, I think I'm in the minority on this one because I did look it up. I looked up the ratings on this one. I didn't like this one. I know a lot of people did. You know, it's fine if you do, but it's kind of like a sci-fi, you know, thriller. And I really didn't care because it was more drama than sci-fi. And for a drama, you got to care about your characters, and the script has to be great. I didn't really care about any of the characters in this one, and honestly, I kind of forgot about it like a couple days after I watched it. And the script didn't really do anything for me to really care about the characters and care about the story. So honestly, it's just really half-baked movie. And the direction was alright, but I think it needed a little more time to cook, because it just came out just not steaming at that point. And lastly, we got The Beekeeper. Jason Statham's back again in another action movie. He's always in these same action movies. David Ayer is actually directing this one. And you know, I had a decently fun time with this one. It's nothing really spectacular though. And Josh Hutcherson does actually play the villain of this one. He looks like he's having a great time. He even said that he wants to play more villains. I'm on board with that because I thought did a great job. I think he has a very funny performance. You know, the action in here is pretty good. There's one action sequence in particular in the end where he's going one-on-one against this other big guy, and it's kind of like a most cartoon fight, John Wick fight of the movie. They're just throwing jabs and jabs each other hardest that they can, and it's great. I love the camera work in it. It's a close quarters kind of fight. My favorite part of the movie, the most tense part of the movie. If it was like that the whole movie, it would easily go in the good or great tier, but it's not really like that. The whole movie doesn't take itself too seriously, which I do thank it for, but at the same time, I don't really care for it. When it doesn't take itself too seriously. It's kind of funny when they do mention just the bees or the beekeeper. Like, if you took a shot every time someone said the beekeeper or anything about bees, you'd probably die, because that's what the script is filled with. Kind of lazy script, but it's not really a script kind of movie. It's just a fun action movie, and I can say I had fun with it, so I'm gonna put it in the okay tier. So now we got our final ranking, and as you can see, not many great movies, not many good, not many, and no amazing movies. Just one great movie, and that's Mean Girls. Terrible tier, I'm gonna leave it like that. Night Swim's the worst movie of the year. And bad tier, I'm gonna put Good Grief at the top, and The Kitchen in the second place position, then the okay tier. This one's kind of a toss-up for me. I'm gonna keep The Beekeeper at the top, then I'm gonna put Self-Reliance, and then we're gonna go The Underdoggs. And then I think I'm going to go, if I can switch it, Underdoggs, I.S.S, in the Book of Clarence, nothing in the good tier, Mean Girls in the great tier, low great tier if there's anything in it, and then amazing tier, nothing, sadly. January is always a rough month, as I said, and this month kind of proved it. Nothing really great happening in here except Mean Girls. Hopefully February is a little bit better, but I'm just waiting for March, waiting for June. I think March is where the movie season is finally going to start. 2024 is going to be a little weak, but once we get to March, I think we'll be rolling in some, better films, not as many bad films. Hopefully February is a little bit better. Leave your ranking of all the movies you saw in January down below. Make sure you leave a like on this video, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.